The light didn't burst forth. Instead, it was a silent, overwhelming expansion of the ordinary. Elias had always been grounded, a stonemason with hands scarred by Lebanese granite, his gaze fixed on the finite horizon of the world. But on the eve of his 77th birthday, as he slept in the dust of his own making, the boundary between worlds dissolved. He woke to find himself floating, not in darkness, but in a radiant field of crystalline air, held by a presence both ancient and utterly new. Beside him stood his guide, a being of pure, shifting azure, a form both man and light, an archangel whose name Elias instinctively knew would shatter his mortal tongue if he dared to utter it. The angel spoke without moving its lips, a voice that was the harmony of creation itself. "Fear not, Elias, son of man, you have been chosen, like the patriarch Enoch before you, to witness the manifold wisdom and the terrifying majesty of the Most High. The cosmos isn't flat, it's a ladder. You shall ascend the 10 layers of existence." The first heaven, the oceanic foundation. The ascent was instantaneous, like a breath drawn into an already expanding reality. They stood on the foundation of the cosmos, the first heaven, dominated by a breathtaking spectacle. A boundless ocean stretched beneath them to an endless shimmering horizon. This wasn't the salty, violent sea of earth, but a crystalline, ethereal water, the very essence of liquid light, contained above Earth's firmament as described in ancient texts. The angel explained, "This is the great containment, the demarcation between the ordered world and the outer void. It's the first boundary." As Elias watched, massive, slow-moving forms began to materialize on the horizon, not ships, but beings of immense tranquil power. These were the keepers of the stars, 200 celestial guardians cloaked in gold and amber, each tasked with maintaining the delicate, perfect rotation of the great celestial spheres that governed the flow of time and seasons on Earth. They were the masters of celestial mechanics, their movements precise, their silence profound. Elias watched them turn the enormous wheels of light, each rotation creating a perfect, unwavering trajectory. The scene was a sublime symphony of order, impressing upon Elias the truth that nothing in the material universe was left to chance. Every flicker of light, every ebb of tide, was managed by divine decree and celestial labor. He realized that the chaos he perceived on Earth was merely the shadow of an unseen, perfect structure, the second heaven, the iron prison of regret. They transitioned in an instant, the boundless light collapsing into a suffocating, perpetual twilight. This was the second heaven, and it was defined by suffering. The air was thick and heavy, smelling of ash and profound regret. Below, set into what looked like frozen, starless void, were chambers of black, unbreakable iron. Imprisoned within, Elias saw the fallen watchers, or the Grigori. They were colossal figures, once radiant with divine light, now twisted and shadow-bound, their faces sunken and etched with eternal sorrow. They didn't scream, they wept, a silent, mournful despair that resonated more powerfully than any shriek. The angel's voice was stern. "These are the ones who abandoned their station, descending to earth to breed corruption, teaching mankind forbidden arts, and shattering the peace of the early world. They are held here, bound not just by the chains of iron, but by the weight of their own destructive choices." Elias saw their hands reach out, not in aggression, but in a desperate, pleading gesture, their eyes holding the memory of a light they had forfeited forever. The second heaven was a horrifying testament to the absolute nature of divine justice, that even the highest beings cannot defy the will of the Creator without incurring a terrifying, commensurate cost. Elias felt a profound chill, understanding that the cosmic war wasn't just a battle fought on Earth, but a history preserved in the very structure of the heavens. The third heaven, the Garden of Contradiction. The darkness shattered again, replaced by a light so vibrant it tasted of clean mountain air. Elias stood in the third heaven, the legendary paradise, and the contrast to the previous layer was a spiritual shock. It was a garden, but a Garden of Eden amplified beyond any earthly scale. The fragrances were intoxicating: cinnamon, frankincense, and a scent like rain on pure gold. Towering over the landscape were trees bearing fruit of every imaginable color, their leaves the color of emeralds and jasper. 4 great rivers, flowing with the substance of pure life, honey, oil, milk, and wine, meandered through the luminous soil. At the center, casting a gentle, benevolent glow, was the tree of life, a colossal, multi-hued beacon, its roots plunging down into the secret depths of the cosmos. The angel smiled faintly. This is the promised rest, the waiting place for the souls of the righteous, those who showed compassion, who walked in humility and justice on earth. They are kept here rejoicing in the shadow of the tree. But the angel then motioned toward the farthest northern perimeter. There, paradise ended abruptly, replaced by a landscape of churning fire and unquenchable flame. This was the place of torment, reserved for the souls of the wicked, those who practiced witchcraft, idolatry, and deliberate cruelty. It was the anti-garden, a terrifying spectacle of ceaseless burning that closely mirrored the biblical imagery of Gehenna. The third heaven, therefore, didn't merely represent reward. It held the twin destinies of all mortal souls, a stark visual contrast emphasizing the gravity of human choice. The fourth heaven, the chamber of motion. They ascended into a vast, dizzying sphere defined by relentless, organized motion. The fourth heaven was the astronomical engine of the universe. It was alive with enormous blazing disks and spheres, the sun and the moon surrounded by countless stars, all moving with a clockwork precision that defied human comprehension. Elias watched as the angels of the zodiac and the angels of the seasons executed their sacred duties, ensuring that the earth received its light, its heat, and its temporal rhythm without fail. The sun, Enoch noted, was 7 times brighter than the moon and was attended by a retinue of 6-winged flaming angels who steered its chariot along its ordained path. "Observe the perfection," the angel commanded. "No wind, no star, no phase of the moon moves without purpose." This layer is the demonstration of God's wisdom, proving that even the apparently random chaos of the sky is, in truth, a carefully orchestrated symphony. Elias saw vast, glittering storehouses of cosmic light and elemental power, ensuring that the creation below would be sustained until the moment of its appointed end. This layer gave Elias a crushing sense of his own smallness, yet also a profound appreciation for the meticulous care with which the universe was upheld. The fifth heaven, the despair of the Grigori. The fifth heaven was a desolate space, echoing the emotional anguish of the second heaven, yet with a different, heavier silence. It was here that the highest ranking of the Grigori, the Great Watchers, were stationed. They stood perfectly still, enormous withered statues of sorrow, neither chained nor tormented by fire, but paralyzed by the profound knowledge of their failure. Their forms were like colossal monuments to wasted glory, their radiant past contrasted with their desolate present stillness. They were the authors of the great corruption that necessitated the flood, and now they were left to contemplate their devastating legacy. The angel explained that their punishment was one of perpetual grief and the anticipation of their final, inevitable doom. Their silence was the most deafening sound Elias had yet heard. The fifth heaven was a sobering lesson in the nature of free will, that even creatures of immense power can choose self-destruction, and that the greatest punishment is often the memory of the glory lost. Elias understood that true justice often involved an inescapable confrontation with one's own sins. The sixth heaven, the libraries of wisdom. the atmosphere lightened into a soft, glowing brilliance. The sixth heaven was a realm of unparalleled harmony and intellectual fervor. It contained the celestial libraries, vast repositories of God's knowledge, the intricate workings of the cosmos, and the records of the universe. Here, 7 bands of intelligent, dedicated angels pored over the endless scroll of creation, studying the laws of physics, the mysteries of mathematics, and the nature of divine light. These angels were the pure students and archivists of the Most High. They were responsible for maintaining the cosmic balance, the delicate ecological harmony that existed between the heavens and the earth. They sang not with a warrior's chant, but with a complex, polyphonic worship of intellect, melodies so pure and beautiful that they were the very definition of truth. Among them were the great archangels, powerful, authoritative beings who oversaw the natural order of creation, ensuring that God's will was translated perfectly into the functioning of the universe. The sixth heaven showed Elias that true worship involved not just feeling, but the full engagement of the highest intellect. The seventh heaven, the throne and the transformation. The air became fire, but fire that didn't burn. The brilliance was so absolute that Elias involuntarily collapsed, his face buried in the celestial dust. This was the seventh heaven, the pinnacle of ancient Jewish cosmology, the threshold of the divine presence. Before him, an immeasurable distance away, yet filling his vision, was the throne of God. It blazed with a light that had no source, a blinding, glorious sapphire and ruby, ringed by storms of perpetual fire. Surrounding the throne were the fiercest and most magnificent of the heavenly hosts, the multi-eyed thrones, the 6-winged singing seraphim, and the silent, powerful cherubim. Their songs of holy, holy, holy echoed like the crashing of an eternal ocean, a vibration of reverence that humbled the very foundation of existence. Elias, overwhelmed by the intensity of the absolute holiness, felt his mortal frame dissolving. He knew he couldn't survive the proximity to the unmediated glory. Then a voice, not the archangels, but the voice of all things commanded, "Michael, lift him up." The great archangel Michael, radiating strength and kindness, approached Elias, helping him to stand. By divine decree, Michael clothed Elias in garments of glory and anointed him with radiant heavenly oil. The transformation was immediate. His fear was replaced by awe, his mortal form clothed in an immortal angelic likeness. He was prepared finally to endure the presence of the Creator. The seventh heaven was Elias's death and rebirth, marking the culmination of his journey and his anointment as a divine witness. The eighth heaven, the realm of eternal time. Having been transformed, Elias was now led into the eighth heaven, a realm defined by the unveiling of divine mysteries. This was the place where the true nature of time was revealed. To Elias, time had been a relentless linear path. Here he saw it as a single complete tapestry, woven all at once. He saw the beginning, the middle, and the end coexisting. He watched history unfold backward and forward, recognizing that his moments of sorrow, his seasons of confusion, and his tiny acts of faith were all part of a flawless design held by the master weaver. The eighth heaven whispered the profound truth: nothing is random, nothing is wasted. Every detail, every struggle was intentional, working toward a perfect, glorious culmination. Elias realized how limited human understanding truly was, relying on fragments and linear perception, while God saw the complete eternal picture. This realm instilled in him not merely trust, but profound serenity, knowing that the author of the story saw what he could not grasp, and that his wisdom was absolute. The ninth heaven, the archives of the soul. The journey continued into the ninth heaven, a place that struck Elias with solemn gravity. It was a boundless library of records, an endless expanse of scrolls, tablets, and eternal ink, holding the meticulously detailed chronicle of every single human life ever lived. Here there were no secrets, Every thought, every whispered word, every hidden act of kindness, and every concealed moment of betrayal was written down with uncompromising accuracy. The ninth heaven solidified the reality of divine accountability. God measures not only the grand public deeds, but treasures the quiet acts of love, the cup of water given, the silent endurance of pain, the moment of hidden faith. Yet, it also recorded every disobedience. The angel pointed to a section explaining that while judgment was real for those who had accepted the covenant of grace, the records of sin were covered by a celestial, crimson light, the foreshadowing of the ultimate sacrifice. The ninth heaven was a call to profound humility and a renewed sense of hope, urging Elias to live every remaining moment with eternal intention. The 10th heaven, the culmination of all things. Finally, Elias was led into the 10th heaven, the highest and most sacred realm of the cosmos, the true dwelling place of the ultimate judgment. Here, the light of the 7th heaven was focused into a point of absolute blinding authority. This was the place where all history was headed, the final climax. He beheld the seat of eternity, the great white throne, where God's absolute authority radiated, commanding the reverent silence of all creation. In this sacred space, Elias received the final, unforgettable truth. Eternity is real and choice matters. The struggles of this world, the rise and fall of kingdoms, and the secret motives of every heart were all moving toward this single moment. The righteous would inherit eternal joy in the presence of God. The wicked, having rejected grace, would face separation from his light. The 10th heaven was a trumpet blast, a command for Elias to delay no longer, but to align his entire being with the will of God while there was still time. He wasn't just a witness, he was now a messenger, charged with carrying the reality of the 10 heavens back to the mortal world.